Hi everyone, it's Rebecca from Holy Rustic, and I'm here today to do the windmill door hanger tutorial with you. This is not my usual setup, so hopefully y'all are going to be able to see and nothing is going to fall off. So I'm trying to work from home instead of the studio. Alright, so we have our windmill. This is what it looks like when you're finished. I'm just flipping it over and doing the back for the tutorial, just to save some wood. You get black and white in your kit, and the reason is because you're going to mix the black and white to make the gray that you want for your windmill. So I'm going to start with a little black. You can't see. Try to finish up this white here. You want to mix a good amount so that you don't run out, because it's pretty difficult to get the same color later. Let me do a little more white in here. Got a dark gray, and I want it to be light gray. I started out with too much black. Maybe don't do that. Alright, so I think I've about got it where I want it to be. It's like a light gray, not super light. So we are going to go over it with white after it dries. Alright, and then I'm just going to brush it on and get a bigger brush. Just realized I don't have all my paintbrushes out here, so hopefully I got enough to get this done. Now these are laser cut door hangers, and the edges are a dark color. You don't have to paint the edges, you can leave them that burned look if you like it. If you want to paint the edges, you can. It just takes a lot more time to get between all the cracks and crannies. So with the gray, we'll probably get a good coat the first time around and not have to do a second coat on it, which is good because we want it to dry completely before we start dry brushing the white paint over it. This is a fairly easy door hanger to do. And it's super cute. Definitely takes a lot of paint in the beginning. Now you also have a round circle for the center of your windmill. You'll want to make sure to paint that round circle the same color that you're doing the windmill. And then your letter, you can paint whatever color you want. I did a black letter in the example. You could do white. Or if you have your own colors, you could do something bright, make it pop. I didn't mix enough paint. Should have took my own advice. Made extra. I don't think I can make it. I'm gonna try though. It's gonna be close. Good thing I don't need a second coat. It'll really run out. Trying to get every last drop I can find here. I think I'm gonna make it. All right, it's covered. Barely. Hopefully, y'all make some more paint than I did in the beginning and didn't have to scrape every little drop. Okay, so now what we're doing, that we have our base, we're gonna go back and do a dry brush with just the white paint. So you'll wanna get some white paint out, and then a paper towel or paper plate or something next to you. And then you can use whatever brush you want. I think I'm gonna try this thick rounded brush to start with. Roll up my sleeves because I'm a messy painter. Alright, so I'm gonna dip in my white. I'm gonna take my paper towel and I'm gonna kind of brush off that excess so there's no globs of paint or thick paint, and I'm gonna go back to where I started, where it's pretty dry. And I'm gonna just kind of dry brush that on there like that. I'm gonna make sure you go all the way to the edge. Don't want any thick spots. And it just gives it look like that. If it's too thick, you can go back over it with some of your gray, or you can wet your brush a little bit and smooth it out. You just don't want a lot of paint. You don't want like thick stripes. Just kind of brushing it real lightly. See, I did this one lighter than that one, so this is pretty defined. I'd probably go back over that with some gray if I had it. And this is more like what I'm going for here. my voice. I'm just gonna go around and do that on all of it, on all these blades. You want to try to stay on your blades and not get on the parts that between the blades here. If you do, it's fine. You can go back over it with some gray, or if you like it with that weathered look, you can do it on those too. I like to keep it just on my blades here. You don't want to push down real hard. You just want to kind of lightly brush that paint on. Make sure you go all the way to the edge, off the edge, because you don't want it to look like your paint stopped right here. If you want, you can take your paintbrush and kind of right there on the edge, just rub your brush down on each edge, and that kind of gives it that worn look right there. Just kind of scraping the paint off on the edge of the blade. Alright, you are going to want to do that on your round piece, probably. I originally just painted it and put it in the middle, and I didn't like the way it looked. So I went back and brushed the white on the centerpiece. I'll flip this back over so you can see it. Alright, this side has a little more white on it, so you can do it however you want. You can do it really lightly. You can see I didn't do them between the blades. So this one has a lot less paint. This side has a lot more white, so it's personal preference. You have a letter here, and I already painted mine, but what you're going to do is use your craft glue and put it on the back of the letter. Now with your E6000, this, a little goes a long way, okay? And your letters are kind of thin, so you don't want to put glue, you want to keep it as far away from the edges as you can, because if you get this glue up against the edges, when you flip it over and push it down, it's going to come out the sides and it's really hard to get off. So usually what I do is, I can't get that glue open. It's glued shut. Let me see if I have another one. Alright. So what I usually do is just squeeze a little bit out, and I have a palette paint knife here. You can use a butter knife. I just squeeze a little bit onto the edge like that, and then for these little letters, what I do is kind of spread it like peanut butter, and I try to keep it in the middle of the letter. You don't want any big globs near the edge, because it's not going to look very good after it gets pushed down. So I'm just spreading it just like butter or whatever on the thickest areas. So these parts are really thin. I'm probably not going to put any on there, This glue holds really well after it sets. So I'm gonna put it where I want it and then drop it, and then I can push it down, and it shouldn't glue up on the sides. Now some of you got a different style of letter because this monogram font, some of the letters like the M's and even the S's have really, really thin lines in the font, and they basically just crumble. So if you got more of a block style font in your kit, that's because your monogram was not holding up, because these are small and that font cuts very, very thin on the laser machine, and I didn't want it to break on you. So hopefully that's okay in some of your kits. Now you also have some twine. Depending on where you're going to hang it, you want to kind of figure out how high you want it to be. You can cut your twine down and then use some hot glue or even the E6000 to glue the ends of your twine on. Just make sure before you glue it that it's going to hang center. So put it wherever it needs to be so that it hangs straight once you get it on that hanger. Another thing I'll say about this glue is it takes a couple hours to set, so you do not want to hold your door hanger upright until at least a couple hours until that sets, because otherwise your pieces are going to slide down. So, and I already had my centerpiece on, but make sure you glue that first, obviously. So glue your centerpiece on, then glue your ladder and let it sit for a couple hours, and you'll be good to go. All right, well, make sure to join the Craft Crew on Facebook and show us pictures of your finished products. And as always, thank you so much for supporting our business and ordering a kit, and we'll see you soon. Thanks.